The first thing Kim felt was the chill. It wasn't the usual coolness of dawn that caressed her skin every morning in the riverside village of Oba. This cold was sharp, biting, almost like icy fingers crawling over her body. She stirred beneath her thin blanket, expecting to shake it off, but the feeling clung to her bones. Slowly, she opened her eyes. Sunlight streamed weakly through the wooden shutters of her room, yet everything felt different. The smell of wet earth and river mist filled her nostrils, stronger than usual. Her heart pounded as she pushed herself up to sit. Something felt terribly wrong. The weight of the air, the silence of the morning, it was unnatural. And Kim swung her legs off the mat and gasped. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light. At first, she thought it was dew or sweat, but when she rubbed her arm, her fingers scraped against something rough. Looking closer, her eyes widened. Her skin was covered in tiny, overlapping scales that glistened faintly blue-green, catching the morning light like fish scales. "No, no, this is a dream," she whispered, her voice trembling. She stumbled to the mirror hanging crookedly on the wall. When she looked, the breath caught in her throat. The reflection staring back wasn't her. Her face, once celebrated as the most beautiful in Oba, with smooth, dark skin and bright, warm eyes, was now alien. Her pupils had narrowed, glowing faintly silver, and her cheekbones bore a faint shimmer, as if coated with something otherworldly. She touched her face. The mirror fogged up from her breath, but the image didn't change. Her lips trembled. The beauty that had been her pride, her gift from the gods, or so the villagers often said, was gone, replaced by something unnatural. "Nkem," a voice called from outside. It was Mama, her mother, a woman known for her strong hands and kinder heart. "Are you awake? The river festival is today. You must get ready." Panic surged through her. She grabbed a scarf and wrapped it around her head, covering as much of her face as she could. But the scales along her arms glistened through. She pulled long sleeves over herself, ignoring the sweltering heat that was already building. Mama entered without knocking, as she always did. The moment her eyes fell on Kim, they narrowed in confusion. "Child, why are you covering yourself like this? And why do you look so pale?" She stepped closer, her motherly instincts kicking in. She reached to touch Nkem's face. Nkem flinched back. "Don't," she cried. Mama froze, stunned by her daughter's reaction. Tears welled up in Nkem's eyes. "Something is wrong with me, Mama." Before her mother could respond, there was a commotion outside. Voices of villagers filled the air, people gathering near the riverbank. The annual river festival, a day of offerings to the goddess that blessed their lands with fish and fertile soil, was beginning. Every year, Nkem was the center of attention, chosen to lead the procession because of her beauty, which the elders believed pleased the goddess. This year, however, everything had changed. Despite her protests, Mama pulled her outside. The scarf clung to Nkem's face as she walked, each step feeling heavier than the last. Whispers erupted the moment they reached the village square. People stared, their eyes narrowing as they caught glimpses of the strange shimmer on her skin. "She doesn't look the same," one woman muttered. "What happened to her?" another asked. "Maybe she angered the river goddess," someone whispered. The word struck Nkem like stones. Her heart pounded louder than the festival drums. They reached the edge of the river, where the priestess of Oba stood waiting. The old woman's eyes were sharp, glowing almost unnaturally in the sunlight. Her name was Mama Ife, and she served as the goddess's mouthpiece. The priestess stepped forward, staring at Nkem. "Remove the scarf," she commanded. Nkem shook her head violently. "Please, no." "Remove it," Mama Ife repeated, her voice echoing as if carried by the wind. Trembling, Nkem slowly unwound the scarf. Gasps erupted from the villagers. Children hid behind their mothers. Some men crossed themselves with protective charms. The scales covering her face glistened under the sun, and her silver eyes reflected the river's surface. The priestess inhaled sharply. The goddess has marked you. Nkem's knees buckled. Marked me? What? Mama Ife's face was grave. Only the goddess knows. But when she marks, it is never without reason. The crowd began to murmur louder. Some called her cursed. Others said she was chosen. Fear rippled through the villagers like a spreading fire. Nkem clutched her chest, tears streaming down her face. What does she want from me? She cried. The priestess raised her staff. Tonight, you must come to the river alone. The goddess will speak to you. If you disobey, your fate will be sealed. Nkem's heart sank. She stumbled back into her mother's arms, shaking. Mama, I'm scared, she whispered. That night, the moon rose full and bright over the river. The villagers kept their distance, whispering from their homes as Nkem walked alone to the water's edge. The river shimmered under the moonlight, glowing unnaturally bright. The air smelled of salt and something ancient, something alive. She stepped into the shallow water, her heart pounding. The surface rippled, and suddenly the water rose, not as waves but as a figure. A woman of impossible beauty formed from the river itself, her hair flowing like liquid silver, her eyes glowing the same color as Nkem's. The river goddess. You dare question me? The goddess's voice was like the song of the water, beautiful yet terrifying. Nkem fell to her knees. Please, why me? What have I done? The goddess's face twisted into something darker. You are blessed with beauty, but beauty attracts envy, both mortal and divine. You bathed in my river and forgot to honor me. Now, you will honor me, or your village will pay. Nkem sobbed. What do you want from me? The goddess's smile was chilling. A sacrifice, something you love most. Bring it to me by the next full moon, or you will become mine forever. The water crashed around Nkem, soaking her to the bone. When she looked up, the goddess was gone. Only the moonlight reflected on the river's calm surface. She stumbled back to the shore, her heart pounding in her chest. The villagers who had been secretly watching gasped as she emerged, trembling and drenched. Her scales shimmered brighter than before. She met their eyes, her voice shaking but strong. She want to sacrifice, Nkem said, or the village will suffer. The crowd fell silent, fear thick in the air. The priestess stepped forward, her face pale. What must you give her? Nkem's lips quivered. The thing I love most. Her gaze shifted to the horizon where the village lay, her friends, her life. The moonlight cast a ghostly glow on her face, making her look almost otherworldly. And as the villagers whispered, one thing became clear. Whatever was coming next would change their lives forever. The goddess demanded a sacrifice. But what? Or who would Nkem choose to give up? And would she even survive the choice? The sun rose over Oba village with a strange heaviness. The morning mist clung longer than usual, curling around huts like ghostly fingers. Birds that usually sang at dawn remained silent, and the river shimmered with an eerie silver hue as if it still remembered the goddess's presence from the night before. Nkem sat outside her hut, staring at the riverbank in the distance. The night's events replayed in her head over and over. Her mother moved quietly around her, preparing cassava meal, but her eyes kept darting toward her daughter with worry. Nkem's face was pale, her eyes still glowing faintly silver. Every villager who passed by avoided her gaze, whispering as they went. She's cursed, someone murmured. No, she's chosen, another replied. Either way, she will bring trouble, an old man spat. The whispers pierced her like arrows. She pulled her scarf tighter, hiding her face. Her mother knelt beside her, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. My child, you must not let their words destroy you. The goddess chose you for a reason. Nkem's voice cracked. Mama, she wants to sacrifice the thing I love most. I don't even know what that is anymore. Mama sighed deeply. Sometimes the gods ask for things we cannot give. But you must find a way, or our village will suffer. Before they could speak further, a loud drumbeat echoed through the air. The villagers gathered quickly at the square. The elders stood at the center, their faces tense. The head elder, Chief Obi, raised his staff to silence the crowd. "We have heard what the goddess demanded through the girl," he announced, his voice trembling slightly. "A sacrifice must be made by the next full moon. If not, Oba will fall into ruin." Gasps erupted. One villager shouted, "Then let her give herself. She is the one marked, not us." Another cried, "No, the goddess asked for something she loves, not her own life." The crowd erupted into arguments, some pointing at Nkem with fear, others with pity. Chief Obi raised his staff again. "Enough. We will give her time. But know this, if she fails, we all pay the price." The meeting dispersed, leaving Nkem shaken. She retreated to her hut, but sleep wouldn't come that night. Instead, she wandered to the river again. The moon was only half full, glowing weakly. As she knelt at the edge, she whispered, "What do you want from me?" The river rippled, and a soft laugh echoed around her. Shadows danced on the water's surface. Slowly, a mist rose, forming the silhouette of the goddess. Her silver eyes glowed in the darkness. "You have 2 weeks, child," the goddess purred. 2 weeks to bring me your offering." Nkem trembled. "Tell me, what happens if I fail?" The goddess's smile widened. "Then I will take you, piece by piece. And when I am done, I will take them too." The water fell silent. Nkem stumbled back, her heart pounding. As she turned to run, she almost collided with someone standing behind her, Sei, her childhood friend. He had been following her. "Nkem, what's happening to you?" he asked softly. His eyes were filled with concern, not fear. "Why is the goddess doing this?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I don't know. She says I angered her. Now she wants me to give up something I love." She gripped his arms. "Say, I don't know what to do." He held her hands firmly. "You're not alone. I'll help you. We'll figure this out together." For the first time since the curse began, Nkem felt a flicker of hope. But that hope was fragile. Whispers of betrayal. Days passed, and strange things began to happen in the village. Fish disappeared from the river, leaving nets empty. Crops wilted overnight. Children fell sick with fevers that no healer could cure. The villagers grew restless, their fear turning into anger. One night, Nkem overheard 2 women whispering outside her hut. "This is her fault. She has brought the goddess's wrath upon us. If she doesn't fix this, we must drive her out before we all die." The words stabbed at her heart. She pressed her hands to her ears, trying to block them out, but they echoed endlessly in her mind. Sei visited her that night. "You must be careful, Nkem. Some of the men are talking about forcing you to the river as an offering themselves." Nkem's eyes widened. "They think killing me will save them." Sei nodded grimly. "Fear makes people do foolish things." The priestess's warning. Desperate, Nkem went to Mama Ife, the priestess. The old woman sat by a fire, staring into a bowl of water that shimmered unnaturally. She didn't look up when Nkem entered. "You are running out of time," Mama Ife said without being asked. The goddess grows impatient. Nkem knelt beside her. "Please, tell me how to break the curse." Mama Ife's eyes glowed faintly as she spoke. "The goddess is not just angry. She is jealous. Your beauty drew admiration even from the spirits. One of them claimed you as his, and when you did not honor him, he sent the goddess to mark you." Nkem's heart raced. Who is he?" The priestess shook her head. "I cannot say, but I know this. The sacrifice she asks for is not simple. It will be the hardest choice of your life." Before Nkem could ask more, the flames of the fire roared suddenly, and the water in the bowl turned black. Mama Ife's eyes widened. "Go. She is watching us even now." Terrified, Nkem fled the shrine. Dark dreams. That night, she dreamed of the river goddess standing over her bed. The goddess's fingers were long and claw-like, her hair flowing like water. "Time is slipping," she hissed. "Do not test me." When Nkem awoke, her pillow was wet, as if the goddess's presence had been real. Her scales had spread further down her neck and arms. The curse was growing. The choice begins to form. The next morning, Sei came to her with a strange look on his face. "Nkem, I think I know what the goddess wants, but you won't like it." Kim's heart skipped a beat. Tell me. He hesitated. She wants you to give up love. Real love. Either your mother or me. Kim's breath caught. Her knees felt weak. No, she can't. She can, Sei said firmly. And she will if you don't choose. Before she could answer, angry shouts erupted outside. Villagers were gathering, holding torches. The head elder's voice rang out. Bring the cursed girl. If she won't save us, we will save ourselves. Kim's blood ran cold. She clutched Sei's arm as the mob approached her hut. The firelight reflected off her shimmering scales, making her look even more otherworldly. The crowd roared, and Chief Obi pointed his staff at her. Choose now, girl. Choose, or we will throw you into the river tonight. Kim backed against the wall, heart pounding. The goddess's voice echoed in her head. 2 weeks, child. 2 weeks. With the mob closing in and the curse spreading, Kim realizes she may have to sacrifice the very thing keeping her alive, love itself. But who will it be? And can she even survive the choice? The torches flared like angry stars in the night, casting wild shadows across the village square. The mob's shouts rose higher, blending with the crackle of fire and the pounding of Kim's heart. The smell of smoke mixed with sweat and fear. Mothers clutched their children close, while men gripped sticks and machetes as if preparing for battle, not against an enemy, but against one of their own. Chief Obi stood tall at the front, his staff glinting in the torchlight. Nkem, he bellowed, his voice trembling with both authority and fear. You have brought this curse upon us. If you do not make the sacrifice, we will make it for you. Nkem's body shook, her back pressed against the wooden wall of her hut. The scales on her arms seemed to shimmer brighter, as if responding to the tension in the air. Every eye was on her, eyes filled with anger, suspicion, and dread. Sei stepped forward, planting himself between her and the villagers. You won't touch her, he shouted, his voice fierce. She's the only one who can save us, and if you harm her, the goddess will destroy us all. The mob hesitated, murmuring amongst themselves. Some lowered their torches slightly, but others growled with frustration. An older woman spat on the ground. She's cursed. Why should we all suffer because of her? Another man raised his machete. Better to throw her into the river and be done with it. Kim's knees buckled. Tears welled up in her glowing eyes as she looked at the people she had known her whole life. Neighbors who had once adored her beauty, who had cheered for her at every festival, now ready to offer her up like an animal to be slaughtered. Mama Ife, the priestess, appeared suddenly from the darkness. Her presence silenced the crowd. The old woman's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Fools! Do you think killing her will save you? If you lay a hand on the goddess's marked one, she will drown this village in blood. The villagers froze, fear creeping back into their eyes. Chief Obi lowered his staff, his jaw clenched. Then what do you suggest, priestess? Mama Ife's gaze was cold. Give her time. The goddess has given her until the full moon. Let her decide, or we all perish. The crowd murmured but slowly backed away, their anger smothered by the weight of her words. Torches were lowered, and one by one, the villagers retreated into the night. The firelight faded, leaving Kim trembling in the darkness. Sei knelt beside her, his hands on her shoulders. You're safe for now. The following days were suffocating. The air in the village seemed heavier, thick with unspoken fear. Fishers returned with empty nets. Farmers found their crops rotting overnight. Even the animals behaved strangely. Dogs howled at nothing. Goats refused to eat. And Kim stayed hidden inside her hut, the scales creeping further up her neck, across her shoulders, and down her arms. The curse was spreading. When she looked at her reflection in a bowl of water, she barely recognized herself. Her once soft eyes now glowed silver, and her skin shimmered like a serpent's. Mama brought her food, but could barely hide her sorrow. Child, she said one evening, I love you, but the villagers grow restless. Even I fear what they might do if this continues. Kim's throat tightened. Mama, the goddess said I must give up something I love most. But how do I choose between you and Sei? You are my heart. He is my soul. Mama hugged her tightly. Sometimes, love is not about choosing who to save. It's about finding the strength to do what must be done. That night, Sei came to her hut, his face shadowed by the moonlight. Nkem, he whispered, I need to tell you something. She looked at him, her heart pounding. What is it? He hesitated, as if the words weighed 1,000 pounds. The river goddess, she's not just angry at you. She's angry at me too. Nkem's eyes widened. What? What? Sei stepped closer, his expression grim. When we were children, I went to the river alone. I saw something I wasn't supposed to, a spirit rising from the water. She spoke to me, said I was hers. She marked me with a promise that one day I would belong to her. I ran. I never told anyone. But now, I think she's using you to get to me. Kim's blood ran cold. You mean the sacrifice she wants to be you? He nodded slowly. Maybe. Or maybe she wants me to suffer by losing you. Either way, she's playing with us. Tears filled her eyes. Say no, this can't be happening. He took her hands. Whatever happens, I won't let her take you, even if it costs me everything. That night, Nkem fell into a deep, unnatural sleep. In her dreams, she was standing in the river, the water rising to her chest. The moon glowed blood red above her. The goddess appeared, her beauty twisted with malice. You hesitate, the goddess hissed, her voice echoing like rippling waves. Your time runs short. Nkem trembled. Please, tell me what you really want. Why me? The goddess's eyes flashed. You were born under my moon, bathed in my river, and yet you gave your love to a mortal. You were mine, and you defied me. Nkem's voice cracked. You're jealous. The goddess's smile was cold. Call it what you will, but you will return what you stole, or I will drown you both. The water surged, dragging Nkem under. She woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. Her scales glowed brighter than ever, and she felt something inside her, something dark and ancient, whispering that the goddess was already claiming her. By the next evening, the villagers' patience had run out. Crops were gone, children were sick, and the river stank of dead fish. A group of men gathered outside her hut, torches in hand, their faces twisted with desperation. She's killing us, one shouted. If she won't choose, we'll make the choice for her, another yelled. They began pounding on her door. Come out, Nkem. Sei appeared, standing firm with a machete in his hand. Back away, he roared. Touch her, and I'll fight every one of you. The men hesitated, but Chief Obi stepped forward. Boy, you cannot stop us all. The goddess demands a sacrifice, and if she will not give it, we will. The door creaked open. Nkem stepped out slowly, her silver eyes glowing in the torchlight, her scales shimmering like armor. The men gasped and stepped back, fear flashing in their eyes. She raised her voice, trembling but strong. If I must sacrifice, it will be my choice, not yours. I will face the goddess myself. The crowd fell silent. The torches flickered in the wind. The moon rose higher, bathing Nkem in its cold light. Her heart pounded as she looked at Sei. Tomorrow night, she whispered, I go to the river. Alone. Sei grabbed her arm. No, you can't face her alone. Nkem's eyes filled with tears. I have to. If I don't, everyone dies. The villagers watched as she walked back into the hut, her figure glowing faintly in the moonlight. They said nothing, only stared with a mix of fear and awe. Inside, Nkem collapsed into Sei's arms, sobbing. I don't want to lose you. He held her close. Then don't let her win. The night of reckoning was coming. Nkem would face the goddess, but she knew the price would be unbearable. And as the full moon crept closer, whispers spread that not everyone in the village wanted her to succeed. The day before the full moon, Oba village felt like a shadow of itself. The once bustling marketplace was silent, the colorful stalls empty. Chickens scratched weakly at the ground, and goats bleated nervously as if sensing an unseen danger. The smell of rotting fish hung in the air, drifting from the river that no longer gave life but seemed to swallow it. The goddess's warning had seeped into every corner of the village, poisoning not just the waters but the hearts of its people. Nkem sat on the threshold of her hut, her arms wrapped around her knees. The scales had spread across her entire body, glinting faintly blue-green even in the shadows. Her once beautiful hair was beginning to fall out in strands, and her glowing silver eyes drew fear from anyone who dared look at her. Every breath she took felt heavy, as if the curse itself was pressing down on her chest. Mama Ife came to her quietly, leaning on her staff. The priestess's eyes were clouded, but they burned with an inner light that made the villagers obey her without question. "Child," she said softly, "you are fading. The goddess is taking pieces of you already." Nkem looked up, tears brimming in her silver eyes. "I can feel it. Every day I wake, I am less myself. I don't know if I can survive tomorrow night." Mama Ife crouched beside her. "You must survive, but survival comes at a cost." Nkem's voice cracked. "She want me to sacrifice what I love most. I can't choose between my mother and Sei. How can she ask me to do that?" The priestess's lips trembled. "The gods are cruel, child, but there may be another way." Nkem's heart leapt. "What do you mean?" Mama Ife glanced around to make sure no one was listening. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "There is a forbidden ritual, older than the river goddess herself. It can sever a claim on you, but it comes at a deadly price." Nkem leaned closer, desperate. "Tell me, please." The priestess's voice was almost a hiss. "You must enter the sacred cave beyond the forest, where the river begins. There lies the mirror of spirits. It reflects the truth of your soul. If you break it with your own blood, the goddess's power over you will shatter, but only if your heart is pure. If there is any darkness in you, the mirror will consume you instead." Nkem's breath caught. "So either I break the curse or I die." Mama Ife nodded. "And you must do this alone. If anyone follows, the mirror will curse them too." Nkem closed her eyes. Her heart pounded with fear, but also with resolve. "I'll do it." That night, while Nkem prepared herself in silence, the villagers gathered secretly in Chief Obi's hut. The firelight flickered across their tense faces. The chief slammed his staff on the ground. "I will not wait for her to save us. She is cursed, and the goddess plays with us like children." A young man with a scar across his cheek sneered. "Then we end it tonight. We throw her into the river and offer her up before she can do any more harm." An older woman protested weakly, but the priestess said, "She is an old fool blinded by her faith." The man spat. "We must act." The crowd murmured in agreement. The plan was set. Before dawn, they would storm Kim's hut, bind her, and deliver her to the river goddess themselves. None of them knew that in the darkness, Sei had been listening outside, his fist clenched, rage burning in his chest. He ran to warn Kim. When Sei burst in her hut, Kim jumped, clutching her chest. "Sei, you scare me." He grabbed her shoulders, his eyes blazing. "They're coming for you. Tonight." Kim's heart dropped. "No, you have to leave now," he said urgently. "Go to the forest. Find the sacred cave Mama Ife spoke of. I'll distract them." Kim's eyes widened. "You knew about the cave?" Sei hesitated, then nodded. "I've known for years. I've been there once. The goddess appeared to me there. She told me that one day I would bring her a soul. Maybe it was yours she meant. Maybe it was mine." Kim's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" His jaw tightened. "Because I was afraid. But not anymore. If the only way to save you is to give myself to her, I'll do it." Kim's tears spilled over. "Don't say that. I won't let her have you." Their hands trembled as they held onto each other, the weight of unspoken love hanging between them. For a brief moment, the fear melted, replaced by the warmth of two souls clinging to each other in the face of death. Before dawn, while the villagers slept, Nkem wrapped herself in a dark cloak and slipped out with Sei guiding her through the shadows. The night was eerily silent, the only sounds the chirping of distant crickets and the rustle of leaves underfoot. The forest loomed ahead, dense and foreboding. They reached the edge where Mama Ife waited. She handed Nkem a small clay jar. "Inside is the blood of the first priestess who defied the goddess. Pour it on the mirror before you strike. It is your only chance." Nkem nodded, clutching the jar tightly. The priestess's eyes softened. "Be strong, child, and if you fail, may your spirit find peace." Sei looked at Nkem. "I'll go with you." She shook her head. "No, If you come, you'll die. He gripped her hand. Then let me die with you. Her lips trembled. No, live, say, for me. Before he could argue, she kissed his forehead and slipped into the forest alone. The forest seemed alive, whispering in an ancient tongue as Nkem made her way through the darkness. The trees twisted unnaturally, and strange glowing insects hovered in the air. Every step felt heavier, as if the ground itself tried to hold her back. Finally, she reached a clearing where a cave mouth gaped like a black wound in the earth. A cold wind blew from it, carrying the faint sound of rushing water. Nkem took a deep breath and stepped inside. The cave was lit by an eerie blue glow, the walls covered in carvings of spirits and symbols older than time. At its heart stood a massive mirror framed in bones and shells, its surface rippling like water. Nkem's heart pounded. She approached slowly, her reflection shifting and distorting. When she looked into it, she saw not herself, but every fear she had ever felt. The villagers turning on her, her mother crying, Sei dying in her arms, the goddess laughing as she drowned them all. She fell to her knees, sobbing. The mirror whispered, Do you fear yourself, child? She clutched the clay jar, tears streaming down her face. Yes, but I will not let fear control me. She poured the blood over the mirror. The surface hissed, turning red. She raised a sharp stone and slashed her palm, letting her own blood drip onto it. I will not be your slave. The mirror roared, the cave shaking violently. The surface rippled, and from it emerged the river goddess, her beauty now monstrous, her voice like thunder. You dare defy me? Nkem screamed, raising the stone. The goddess lunged. Nkem struck the mirror with all her strength. The glass shattered. A blinding light exploded, throwing Nkem back. The cave shook as if the earth itself was tearing apart. The goddess shrieked, her form dissolving into mist. The light consumed everything. When Nkem opened her eyes, the cave was silent. The mirror was gone. Her scales had vanished, but so had something else. Outside, the sky glowed red, and in the distance, the river roared like an angry beast. Had she truly broken the curse, or unleashed something far worse? The dawn sky burned an unnatural crimson as Nkem staggered out of the sacred cave. Her breathing was shallow, her legs weak, and the stone she had used to shatter the mirror still clung to her bloody hand. The cave behind her was silent now, its eerie glow gone, but the air around her crackled with a strange energy, as if the world itself had shifted. For a moment, she stood there, trembling, waiting for the river goddess to appear, waiting for the curse to claw back onto her skin. But when she looked down at her arms, the scales were gone. Her skin was smooth again, her glowing silver eyes had returned to their natural brown, and her hair, though matted with sweat, was as thick as before. She touched her face, tears filling her eyes. It worked, she whispered. It's over. But even as she said it, the wind howled through the forest, carrying with it a voice so faint, so chilling, that it froze her blood. You think you have one, child? You have only broken the chains that kept me bound. Nkem spun around, but the voice had vanished with the wind. She gripped the stone tighter and ran toward the village, her heart pounding with dread. When she emerged from the forest, the village was waiting. Villagers gathered near the square, eyes wide as they saw her approach. Some gasped, others muttered prayers under their breath. She no longer shimmered with scales, but she walked with a strength they had never seen before, her cloak flowing behind her like a shadow. Mama ran forward, tears streaming. My child, she cried, embracing her tightly. You're alive. Nkem held her mother close, sobbing. It's gone, Mama. The curse is gone. The crowd erupted into murmurs. Chief Obi stepped forward, his staff trembling in his hand. Is it true? You have freed us. Nkem turned to face them, her voice steady. The mirror is broken. The goddess no longer has power over me. For a moment, relief washed over the villagers. Mothers hugged their children. Men clasped hands, and whispers of joy spread like fire. But then a fisherman staggered forward, his face pale. The river, he said hoarsely. It's angry. Everyone turned toward the river. The once calm waters churned violently, waves crashing against the banks as if an invisible storm raged within. The sky above the river was black, swirling with clouds despite the sun rising elsewhere. The villagers stepped back in fear. Mama Ife appeared, her face grim. "You broke the mirror?" "Yes," Nkem said. It was the only way to stop her. The priestess's voice trembled. "Child, that mirror was not just a prison. It was her leash. You have freed something older than the goddess." The villagers gasped. Nkem's knees weakened. "What do you mean?" "The river goddess was powerful," Mama Ife said, "but she was bound by rules. Now those rules are gone. Whatever was trapped behind that mirror is loose." Before anyone could respond, the river erupted with a monstrous roar. From the churning waters rose a massive shadow, larger than any spirit they had ever seen. Its form shifted like liquid, its eyes glowing like molten gold. The villagers screamed and fled as the shadow loomed over the banks. A voice thundered, shaking the ground. "At last I am free." The entity rose higher, taking the shape of a giant serpent with wings of mist and claws like jagged coral. Its scales shimmered black and silver, and its mouth opened to reveal rows of teeth that glistened like wet stones. Mama Ife fell to her knees, clutching her staff. "The Great One," she whispered, "the river's first spirit, banished by the gods for its hunger." The spirit's laughter boomed. "You broke my cage, girl. You are my key. You belong to me." Kim's heart pounded, but she stood tall, gripping the bloody stone. "I will not serve you." The serpent's eyes narrowed. "You already do. My power flows through your veins. You freed me, and now you are mine." The ground trembled as the spirit lunged, its shadow spreading over the village. Sei rushed to Nkem's side, brandishing his machete. "You'll have to go through me first." The spirit hissed with amusement. "Brave mortal, I will enjoy breaking you." With a roar, the spirit sent a wave crashing into the village, sweeping away huts and livestock. People screamed, clinging to trees and rocks. The water burned where it touched, leaving blackened scars on the ground. The river goddess had been dangerous, but this was something far worse. Sei grabbed Nkem's arm. "We have to go." "No," Nkem said, her voice trembling but resolute. "If we run, it will destroy everything. I have to stop it." Sei shook his head. "How? You're only human." Nkem looked at her bloody hand. The stone she carried glowed faintly, pulsing with a strange energy. "Maybe I'm not." Mama Ife staggered toward them, her staff glowing faintly. "Child, you have a piece of its power now. Use it. Only you can face it." The spirit roared again, coiling like a storm. The villagers fled into the hills, leaving only Nkem, Sei, and Mama Ife standing their ground. Nkem raised the stone, feeling heat surge through her arm. The spirit hissed, its golden eyes narrowing. "You dare challenge me?" "Yes," Nkem shouted, her voice echoing with an otherworldly power. "I freed you, and I will bind you again." The ground shook as the spirit lunged. Nkem swung the stone, releasing a burst of light that struck the serpent, making it shriek in pain. It recoiled, the river boiling around it. Nkem fell to her knees, the energy draining her, but she forced herself to stand. Sei charged forward, slashing at the misty tendrils that reached for them. "You're not taking her," he roared. The serpent's laughter echoed. "You think you can fight me with sticks and stones? Foolish mortals." Tendrils of mist wrapped around Sei, lifting him off the ground. He struggled, choking. "Nkem, no!" Nkem screamed, and with a surge of strength, she threw the stone with all her might. It struck the spirit in the chest, glowing brighter than the sun. The serpent shrieked, its body twisting violently, the water exploding in all directions. But as it writhed, its voice roared in her head. "You cannot destroy me. I am part of you now. When I rise again, you will be my vessel." The light consumed everything. When the light faded, the spirit was gone. The river was calm again, the sky clear. The villagers emerged cautiously from their hiding places, staring at Nkem in awe and fear. She collapsed into Sei's arms, her body trembling. Her skin was normal, her eyes brown, but deep inside, she felt something lurking, a shadow that whispered faintly in her mind. Mama Ife helped her to her feet, her face grave. "You fought well, child, but this is not over." Nkem looked at the river, its surface peaceful, hiding the darkness beneath. "I know," she whispered. "He's still there, waiting." The villagers approached slowly, bowing their heads. Chief Obi spoke. "You saved us. You are our guardian now." But Nkem didn't feel like a savior. She felt like a ticking bomb. That night, as the moon rose, she sat by the river with Sei. He took her hand gently. "Whatever happens, I'll be with you." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Thank you. But if the spirit comes back, I don't know if I can stop it." Sei's grip tightened. "Then we'll stop it together." As they sat in silence, the water rippled unnaturally, and for a brief moment, Nkem saw golden eyes staring back at her from the depths. The voice whispered faintly in her mind, "Soon." The days that followed the battle with the serpent spirit were filled with a tense and eerie calm. The river flowed peacefully as if nothing had happened, but its surface shimmered with an unnatural light when the sun hit it. The villagers tried to return to their daily lives, fishing, farming, and trading, but an invisible fear hung over Oba. Everyone knew something had changed. Something dark still lingered. Nkem, though free of the curse's outward signs, carried the weight of the battle within her. Her skin was normal, but her dreams were filled with shadows, and when she looked into still water, sometimes golden eyes stared back at her. At times, her reflection rippled even when the water was still. She would quickly look away, heart pounding. Sei stayed by her side, refusing to let her face the darkness alone, but she noticed how some villagers avoided her, whispering when she passed. To them, she was both a savior and a curse. One morning, as Nkem walked to the marketplace to fetch cassava for her mother, she heard voices behind her. "She may have saved us," one woman whispered, "but she also brought this evil upon us." "I heard at night she speaks to the river," another replied, voice trembling. "No human should have that kind of power," a man muttered. "We should have finished it when we had the chance." The word stung like venom. She gripped the basket in her hands until her knuckles turned white, forcing herself to keep walking. But inside, she was crumbling. At the square, she met Mama Ife, who studied her carefully. "The villagers are afraid," the priestess said. "Fear breeds hate. Be careful, child." Nkem lowered her voice. "Something is wrong with me, Mama Ife. At night, I dream of him. He speaks to me." Mama Ife's eyes darkened. "What does he say?" "That I am his vessel," Nkem whispered, tears welling. "That soon I will belong to him." The priestess clutched her staff tightly. "The spirit is trying to take root in you. You must resist, Nkem. Whatever you do, do not let him in." Nkem nodded, but inside, she wondered if it was already too late. That night, the dreams came stronger. She stood on the riverbank under a blood-red moon. The dark serpent spirit rose from the water, his golden eyes blazing. "Why do you resist me, child?" his voice boomed. "I will never serve you," she shouted. He laughed, the sound shaking the ground. "You freed me. You carry my power. You are mine." The water surged around her, tendrils wrapping around her legs. She tried to break free, but the more she struggled, the tighter they held. The spirit leaned close, his voice like poison. "Soon, you will stop fighting. Soon, you will call my name willingly." She woke up screaming, her body drenched in sweat. But worse, her hands glowed faintly with the same black-silver light as the serpent. She clutched her chest, gasping. "No, it's happening." Sei burst into her hut, alarmed. "Nkem, what's wrong?" She showed him her glowing hands, tears streaming. "He's inside me." Sei grabbed her shoulders. "Then we'll fight him. Together." Nkem shook her head. "I don't know if I can. Sometimes I want to give in." Sei cupped her face. "You're stronger than this. You're stronger than him." For a moment, she believed him. But that night, the voice returned, whispering softly in her mind, weaving its way into her thoughts. By the third day, strange events began to plague the village again. Nets returned empty, crops withered overnight, and goats were found dead with strange markings on their bodies. The villagers gathered at the square, their voices angry. Chief Obi slammed his staff. "This is the spirit's doing. It's because of her." The crowd roared in agreement. "She's cursed. She's bringing him back. We must drive her out before it's too late." Sei stepped in front of Nkem, who stood trembling. "You blame her for everything? She's the only reason you're alive." But the villagers didn't listen. Stones were thrown, one hitting the ground near her feet. Mama Ife raised her staff, silencing them. "You fools! You drive her out, and you hand her to the spirit completely." The crowd hesitated, but murmured with suspicion. Kim's heart broke. The people she had saved now saw her as their doom. That evening, Mama Ife called Nkem and Sei to her shrine. The priestess's face was grave. "The spirit is winning. If he takes you, he will destroy us all." Nkem's voice trembled. "What can I do?" Mama Ife hesitated. "There is one way. You must trap him back into a vessel. But for that, you need something of his essence and something of your own heart's sacrifice." Nkem's eyes widened. "My heart's sacrifice." The priestess nodded. "The person you love most must shed blood willingly for you. Only then can you seal him away." Nkem's stomach twisted. She glanced at Sei, who looked back at her without fear. "I'll do it," he said. "No," Nkem cried. "I won't let you." Sei took her hands. "If it's the only way, I'll do anything to save you." Mama Ife handed Nkem a small black jar. "When the spirit comes to claim you, use this to trap him. But remember, the blood sacrifice must happen at the moment he enters you, or all is lost." That night, the air was heavy, the moon full and bright. The river glowed faintly, the water unnaturally still. Nkem stood at the bank, clutching the black jar, her heart pounding. Sei stood beside her, a knife in his hand, ready to give his life if necessary. The water rippled, and the serpent's spirit rose, larger than ever, his golden eyes blazing. "At last," he hissed. "You have stopped running." Nkem shouted. "I will never belong to you." The spirit laughed, his voice shaking the trees. "You already do." Mist tendrils shot toward her, wrapping around her body. She screamed, the black-silver light surging through her veins. Sei slashed at the tendrils, but they reformed, knocking him to the ground. The voice roared in her head. "Give in, child. Let me in. You were made for me." Nkem fell to her knees, clutching the jar. "No, I am not yours." The spirit lunged, merging into her, his power flooding her body. She screamed, the jar glowing in her hands. Sei crawled toward her, his knife ready. "Nkem, now, tell me what to do." Her eyes glowed gold, the spirit fighting for control. "The sacrifice, do it now." Sei hesitated, tears in his eyes. "Forgive me." He raised a knife. The blade came down, the jar cracked open with a blinding light, and the river erupted in a furious roar as the spirit screamed in rage. Whether the sacrifice would save Nkem, or claim them both, was left hanging in the air. Do you think Sei's sacrifice will be enough to stop the spirit? Or will Nkem become the vessel of the ancient darkness? Comment your thoughts below, hit the like button if you're hooked, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next chapter. The night air tore with screams as the spirit's roar rolled over the riverbank. Nkem felt her body splitting between two worlds, the warmth of her love for Sei and the icy grip of the serpent's ancient power. Her hands trembled as the black jar pulsed in her grip, vibrating with a force that threatened to tear her apart. The golden eyes of the spirit glowed inside her mind, and its voice coiled around her thoughts like a python. "You cannot stop me, vessel. You are mine." She fell to her knees, the earth shaking beneath her. Sei crawled closer, blood dripping from a cut on his arm. His knife gleamed under the moonlight as he raised it, his own tears mixing with sweat. "Nkem, hold on to me," he shouted. She could barely hear him through the roaring in her ears, the voice of the spirit growing louder. The mist wrapped tighter around her, and for a moment, her eyes turned completely gold. Sei pressed the blade against his palm and sliced deep his blood spilling freely. "Take it," he cried, forcing his bleeding hand onto the jar. The instant his blood touched it, the jar glowed blinding white, a light so fierce it seemed to split the night sky. Nkem screamed as the spirit shrieked, the sound deafening, the river boiling violently. The force of the light lifted them off the ground. The spirit's misty form twisted and writhed, trying to escape, but it was being pulled toward the jar, sucked in piece by piece. "No," it roared. "You cannot bind me again." Its voice cracked, filled with rage and fear. The ground cracked open as if the earth itself was rebelling against the ritual. Nkem's body convulsed, her scream mingling with the spirit's as both forces fought for control. She clutched the jar tightly, feeling it burn her hands, but she refused to let go. The light grew brighter and brighter until it consumed everything. The spirit's final roar echoed like a storm, and then silence. The jar clattered to the ground, dark smoke seeping into its cracks before sealing shut. Nkem collapsed into the mud, gasping for breath. The glow faded from her eyes, her body limp. She reached out blindly, searching for Sei. Sei, her voice was barely a whisper. He was lying a few feet away, his face pale, his shirt soaked in blood. She crawled to him, cradling his head in her lap. His eyes fluttered open, weak but warm. You did it, Nkem," he whispered, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "You're free." "No," she sobbed, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Stay with me. Please stay." He coughed, blood staining his lips. "Promise me you'll live. Promise me you'll fight." "I promise," she cried, clutching him tightly. His hand brushed her cheek one last time, and then it fell limp. His eyes closed, and the warmth left his body. Nkem's scream pierced the night, raw and broken. She rocked back and forth, holding him, the moonlight bathing them in cold silver. The villagers approached cautiously from the shadows, their torches flickering. They had heard the roar, seen the blinding light. When they saw Sei lifeless in Nkem's arms, some wept, others looked away in shame. Chief Obi stepped forward, his voice trembling. "He gave his life for us all." Nkem looked up at them, her eyes red and swollen, her voice shaking with fury. "You called him foolish. You call me cursed. But it was his sacrifice that saved you." Her voice cracked, but her stare burned like fire. "Don't you dare forget him." The villagers bowed their heads in silence, guilt heavy in the air. Mama Ife stepped forward, kneeling beside Nkem. "Child, I am so sorry." His blood sealed the spirit away. Nkem looked at the jar, now cold and silent. She wanted to throw it into the river, to be done with it, but something stopped her. The priestess's eyes met hers. "Keep it close. As long as you live, it must remain sealed. If it ever breaks." She didn't finish. They all knew what would happen. The next days were a blur. The village buried Sei on a hill overlooking the river, where the wind sang through the trees. Kim stood by his grave, her heart hollow. The villagers offered her gifts, words of thanks, but she barely heard them. Every night, she dreamed of him, his smile, his laugh, his voice telling her to be strong. But the darkness hadn't ended. Each night, after the dreams of Sei faded, the golden eyes returned, watching her from the corners of her mind. The spirit's voice whispered faintly, barely audible, but still there. "You think you have one? You're still mine. My power still flows in you." One night, she woke screaming, the jar glowing faintly by her bed. Mama Ife rushed in, fear in her eyes. "Child, what happened?" Kim clutched her chest, her breaths ragged. "He's still inside me. He's waiting." The priestess's face was grim. "The jar holds him, but his essence is tied to your soul. If your will breaks, he will rise again, stronger than before." Kim's hand shook. "Then I will never break." But even as she said it, she felt the shadows crawling deeper inside her, feeding on her grief. Each day she grew stronger, but also darker. The villagers noticed, whispering among themselves. Was she still their savior, or the spirit's vessel waiting to awaken? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Nkem walked alone to the river. She stared at the water, her reflection rippling. For a moment, it was her face, then it shifted, golden eyes staring back. The voice whispered, "You cannot hide from me, vessel. The boy's sacrifice gave me more than power. It gave me you." She fell to her knees, clutching her head, the jar pulsing faintly. "No, I will not let you in." The river bubbled, as if something beneath stirred. The water whispered in a language older than time. Nkem stood, her fists clenched. "If you want me, come and take me." The voice laughed softly, chilling her to the bone. Soon, behind her, unseen, the trees swayed unnaturally, and something ancient watched her with hunger. Nkem walked back toward the village, the jar clutched tightly against her chest. But in the shadows of the forest, golden eyes glimmered, and the serpent spirit was not alone. Something older had awakened, something even the goddess once feared. Do you believe Nkem can fight the darkness inside her? Or will she become the spirit's vessel after all? And what is this new force lurking in the shadows? The air in Oba village had grown thick, heavy as if the sky itself pressed down on the earth. The mornings no longer came with birdsong. Instead, they arrived with an uneasy silence broken only by the river's low, unnatural hum. It had been weeks since Sei's sacrifice. Though the villagers rebuilt their huts and farms, life never returned to normal. They whispered about Nkem with trembling voices. Some called her the savior, others the bringer of doom. Nkem herself was no longer the same. Her body had healed, but grief carved deep lines into her soul. She often walked to Sei's grave, sitting in silence until the moon rose. There, she would whisper promises into the wind. "I'll keep fighting. I won't let him win." But the voice inside her never slept. The serpent spirit stirred constantly, whispering, tempting, reminding her of the power flowing in her veins. Each day, she felt its pull stronger, as if the darkness fed on her sorrow. Sometimes she caught herself staring into the river too long, feeling its call deep in her chest. One night, while the village slept, she awoke with a start. The jar beside her glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. A chill swept through the room. She reached for it, but the moment her fingers touched its surface, a searing pain shot through her arm. Her vision blurred, and she fell to the floor. The golden eyes appeared in her mind. "You cannot resist me forever, vessel," the voice hissed. "You are mine. Every tear you shed feeds me." "No," she screamed, clutching her head. "You're sealed. You can't control me." The voice chuckled, deep and mocking. "Foolish child, the seal weakens with every moment you doubt yourself. And soon, I will not be the only one you fear." Suddenly, a vision flashed before her eyes. Dark shapes moving beneath the river, massive and ancient. She saw the spirit coiled around something larger, older, a presence that made even the serpent seem small. The water boiled, and the vision dissolved into darkness. Nkem gasped, waking on the floor with sweat soaking her clothes. She looked at the jar. The glow had faded, but she knew the warning was real. Something else had awakened. The next morning, Mama Ife came to her hut, her face pale and drawn. "Child," she said urgently, "you must come with me. There is something you must see." Nkem followed her to the riverbank. The villagers had gathered, murmuring in fear. The river was no longer just humming. It was roaring, the water twisting unnaturally. Strange shapes moved beneath its surface, and the air smelled of sulfur. Chief Obi approached, trembling. "What is this? We sealed the spirit. Why is this happening again?" Mama Ife's voice cracked. "Because something older than the spirit is stirring. The mirror you shattered did not just bind the serpent. It held back an ancient force that even the goddess feared." The villagers gasped. Nkem's stomach turned. "You knew about this?" she asked. The priestess nodded slowly. "The elders buried the truth long ago. The spirit you fought was once the servant of a greater darkness. And now, without the mirror's prison, that darkness is rising." Before anyone could respond, the river erupted violently. A column of water shot into the air, twisting into a monstrous shape. From the spray emerged a figure, taller than the serpent spirit, its form constantly shifting between mist and flesh, its eyes a deep, glowing crimson. The villagers screamed and fled. The voice that followed was unlike anything Nkem had heard before, deeper than the river's depths, older than time. So, the vessel has freed me. How generous. Nkem fell to her knees, clutching the jar. Who are you? She cried. The entity's laughter shook the trees. I am what your gods tried to erase. I am the river's shadow, the first darkness. You freed my servant, and through him, you freed me. The golden eyes of the serpent spirit appeared faintly behind the shadow's form, glowing within the mist. Welcome, my master. The serpent's voice hissed from within. The shadow's eyes locked on Nkem. You carry his essence. That makes you mine as well. The villagers ran in all directions, shouting prayers. Mama Ife stood her ground, raising her staff. You will not take her, she shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. The entity's mist swirled violently, knocking her to the ground. I take what is mine. Nkem gripped the jar tightly, holding it up. You will not control me. The shadow chuckled. You cannot stop what has already begun. You are the key, girl. With you, I will drown the world. A tendril of black mist shot toward her, wrapping around her body. She screamed as pain seared through her veins. The villagers watched in terror as she lifted into the air, her eyes glowing gold again. The serpent's voice hissed inside her head. Give in, vessel. Give in, and we will be one. Mama Ife crawled toward her, shouting over the roar. Nkem, fight it. Remember who you are. Through the haze of pain, Nkem saw flashes of Sei's face, his last words echoing in her mind. Promise me you'll fight. She screamed, summoning every bit of strength she had, and the jar in her hands glowed blindingly bright. The shadow recoiled slightly, hissing. That will not save you. Nkem's voice cracked but held steady. It's not the jar that will save me. It's me. The lights surged, burning the mist, but the shadow's form twisted and spread, encircling the entire riverbank. Mama Ife screamed. He's too strong. You must run. But Nkem couldn't move. The tendrils tightened, pulling her toward the river. The water rose like walls around her, ready to swallow her whole. The villagers could only watch as she was dragged into the swirling darkness. Before she disappeared beneath the water, she shouted, I am not yours. The river closed over her head. The villagers stood frozen as the river swallowed Nkem. The water turned black, and the sky above cracked with lightning. From the depths came a sound that made every soul tremble, a roar that was both the serpent's and something far worse. Deep beneath the surface, Nkem opened her eyes, glowing gold as the darkness closed in. Is this the end of Nkem, or will she rise stronger than ever? And what is the true power of the ancient force now unleashed? Comment below with your theories. Hit like if you're hooked, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. The chapter where the final war begins. Darkness pressed against Nkem's skin like the weight of the ocean. She was sinking, her limbs numb, her chest burning for air. The river swallowed her whole, dragging her deeper and deeper into a world where light could not reach. Yet in the crushing blackness, she felt something pulling at her soul, a force both terrifying and strangely familiar. She tried to fight, kicking, clawing, but the water was no longer water. It was alive, coiling around her like a snake. Then she heard the voice again, the one that had haunted her dreams. You cannot escape me, vessel. You freed me, and now you will serve me. The darkness shifted, and suddenly she was no longer underwater. She stood in a place that seemed endless, an ancient spirit realm where the sky glowed blood red and the ground shimmered like black glass. Rivers of liquid gold snaked through the land, their surfaces swirling with faces screaming silently. In the distance, colossal shadowed figures moved slowly, their forms indistinguishable but their presence suffocating. Nkem clutched her chest, trembling. Where am I? The serpent spirit slithered out of the golden river, its golden eyes glowing as it coiled around her. You stand in the first river, the origin of all waters, the heart of my master's power. Before she could speak, the ground cracked open. From it rose the towering shadow, the river's shadow, larger than before, its crimson eyes burning with hunger. The air trembled with its voice. You have come to me willingly. Good. And Kim backed away, clutching the glowing jar that had somehow followed her into this realm. I didn't come willingly. You dragged me here. The shadow's laughter rolled through the air like thunder. It makes no difference. You carry our power, girl. You belong to us. I belong to no one, she shouted, though her voice shook. The shadow moved closer, the ground trembling under its steps. Do you not feel it? Every heartbeat, every breath, you grow stronger, but not because of your mortal self. My essence flows within you. With it, you could command oceans, drown cities, burn the sky. All you have to do is surrender. Kim's hands shook, but she held the jar tighter. You're lying. Power from you comes with chains. The serpent hissed softly, circling her. Chains? No, vessel. Power is freedom. Look at your village. They feared you even when you saved them. Why protect those who see you as a curse? Why not rule them instead? Images flashed in her mind. The villagers throwing stones, calling her cursed, watching as Sei died to protect them. The spirit's voice dripped like poison. They hated you. They hated him. And yet you would still die for them? Foolish girl. Nkem fell to her knees, clutching her head. Stop it. The serpent's voice grew softer, seductive. You could have everything, Nkem. Love, power, life eternal. All I ask is that you let me in. She gritted her teeth. You killed Sei. You think I'd let you win? The shadow's crimson eyes narrowed. I'll love. Always love. Do you not realize? His blood tied you to me. His sacrifice bound his essence to my power. He is part of me now. Her heart stopped. You're lying. The shadow stepped closer, its form twisting into something almost human. A figure stepped out from within it. Sei. His eyes glowed gold, his expression calm, almost gentle. Nkem, he said softly, it's me. She stumbled back, tears spilling. No, this isn't you. This is a trick. It's me, the figure said, his voice identical to Sei's. I'm part of him now. If you want to be with me, all you have to do is stop fighting. Join us. Nkem's knees buckled, her heart tearing in two. She wanted to run to him, to hold him, to believe it was real. But deep down, she knew the truth. This was the spirit using her grief against her. She stood, her hands trembling, and raised the jar. You're not Sei. He gave his life to stop you, and I will honor him by finishing what he started. The illusion of Sei smiled sadly. You will regret this. The figure dissolved back into mist, merging with the shadow. The air thickened, the ground splitting as rivers of gold turned black. The shadow's roar shook the sky. You dare defy me? Then you will die here, forgotten. Nkem gritted her teeth, her voice rising like a storm. No, I will not die here. I will end this. The jar in her hand blazed with light, brighter than ever. The spirit hissed, the crimson eyes narrowing. That vessel cannot hold me anymore. You shattered my prison once, and you will never bind me again. The serpent's spirit lunged, wrapping around her. The shadow extended its claws, reaching for her soul. But as the darkness closed in, something inside Nkem snapped. Not in fear, but in rage. A surge of power burst from her chest, forcing the serpent to recoil. Her eyes glowed with a blinding silver light, her body radiating with energy. The shadow roared. Impossible! You are not strong enough. Nkem screamed, the light around her intensifying. I'm not your vessel. I am my own power. The spirit hissed, writhing. The shadow stumbled back, its form rippling. The golden rivers boiled violently. She felt the light tearing through her veins, burning the darkness inside her. It hurt, but it was hers. The serpent hissed in her ear. Even if you win, you will never be human again. You will be one of us. Her voice rose above the chaos. Then I'll be something new, something stronger. With a roar, she slammed the jar into the ground. It shattered, releasing a wave of light that spread across the realm, engulfing everything. The shadow screamed, its form dissolving into mist. The The serpent writhed, its golden eyes fading. The entire spirit realm trembled, breaking apart. Nkem felt herself being torn from a place, ripped back toward the mortal world. The last thing she heard was the spirit's voice, weaker but still defiant. "You cannot destroy me. I will return, and when I do, you will be mine." She gasped awake on the riverbank, the moon high above. The villagers stood at a distance, staring at her with a mix of awe and terror. Her skin glowed faintly, her eyes shining silver. Mama Ife approached slowly, her voice trembling. "Child, what have you become?" Kim stood, her voice calm, but carrying a power that made the air tremble. Not human, not spirit, something in between. The river was still, its surface calm, but deep beneath something stirred. Kim turned to the villagers, who fell to their knees in fear. She had saved them, yet she was no longer one of them. In the river's depths, two crimson eyes flickered briefly before vanishing. The ancient force was not gone, it was waiting. Do you think Nkem's new power will protect her, or will it turn her into the very darkness she fought against? And has the ancient force truly been defeated, or is this just the beginning? Don't miss the next chapter, the epic finale where everything comes to an end. The dawn over Oba village came with an eerie silence. The mist over the river shimmered with faint colors, reflecting light in strange patterns. Birds remained hidden in the trees, and the usual chatter of villagers was replaced with hushed whispers. Everyone had seen what happened the night before. Nkem emerging from the river, glowing like something not entirely human. She stood at the edge of the village, her cloak fluttering in the morning breeze. Her skin still held a faint glow, and her silver eyes made even the bravest villagers step back. She could hear their murmurs as she passed. "She's not one of us anymore. Is she protecting us, or watching us? She's the river's chosen now, or its curse." Nkem ignored them. Their fear no longer wounded her the way it once had. She had seen what lay beyond their world, what darkness lurked in the rivers of time, and she knew the battle was not yet over. The serpent spirit's voice was gone, but she could still feel the ancient force pressing against the edge of reality, searching for a way back. Mama Ife approached her, leaning heavily on her staff. The priestess looked older than before, as if the events of the past weeks had drained her strength. "Child," she said softly, "you are no longer who you were. The river has marked you in ways even I cannot see." Nkem looked toward the river. "It's not over. I can feel him, both of them. The shadow isn't gone. It's gathering strength somewhere deep, waiting for me to falter." Mama Ife's voice was low. "Then you must finish this. There's one last place where the spirit can be destroyed forever. The source, where the river begins and where no mortal has ever walked." "The source?" Nkem asked. The priestess nodded. "It lies beyond the Forbidden Mountains. Legends say it is where the first drop of water fell from the heavens. The shadow will return there to regain its power. If you do not confront it, it will rise stronger than before." Nkem clenched her fists. "Then I will go." Mama Ife placed a trembling hand on her arm. "The journey will be perilous. The source tests the soul as much as the body. You may not survive." Nkem's eyes burned with resolve. "I've already died once. I'm not afraid to do it again." The villagers watched silently as Nkem left the next morning. She walked alone, a figure cloaked in silver light, carrying nothing but her will. The mountains loomed in the distance, jagged peaks cutting the sky. The journey was long and treacherous, days without food, nights haunted by whispers. The voice of the ancient force echoed in her dreams, mocking her, tempting her. "Why do you fight, Vessel? You could rule. You could be a queen among mortals." She ignored it, each step a silent defiance. By the fourth day, she reached the foot of the Forbidden Mountains. The air here was cold, biting, and the ground was littered with bones, animals, and perhaps humans who had dared to pass. She climbed, her hands bleeding, her breath ragged, but she never stopped. At the mountain's peak, a waterfall cascaded into a glowing pool. This was the source, a place older than time, where the water shimmered with both light and darkness. The moment she stepped close, the surface rippled, and the river's shadow rose from its depths, larger than ever, its crimson eyes blazing with fury. "You came, vessel," it roared. "You brought yourself to me. Now, I will take back what is mine." The ground shook as the entity rose higher, its form towering over the mountain. Mist wrapped around her legs, trying to drag her down, but she stood firm, her own body glowing brighter. "You will not control me. You will not control this world," she shouted. The shadow laughed, the sound deafening. "You cannot destroy me. I am a first darkness. I was here before your gods, and I will be here long after." Nkem raised her hands, summoning the power inside her. The silver light burst from her palms, pushing the mist back. The spirit hissed, recoiling. "You dare use my power against me? It's not your power anymore. It's mine," she said, her voice steady. The entity roared, lashing out with claws of black mist. She dodged, striking with beams of light. The mountain shook violently, rocks crashing into the pool below. The battle raged, light against darkness, their forces colliding with explosive energy. But the shadow was relentless, feeding on the darkness around them. It lunged, wrapping itself around her, trying to crush her spirit. Her body screamed with pain, her vision blurring. The voice hissed in her ear. "Give in, vessel. End your suffering. Be mine." Through the pain, she remembered Sei's voice. "Promise me you'll fight." With a scream that tore the sky, she unleashed all her power, a blinding wave of silver light that pierced through the shadow's chest. The entity screamed, its form dissolving, burning away in the radiance. The mountain trembled, the pool of the source boiling violently. "You cannot kill me," it roared one last time. "I am eternal. Then I will hold you here forever," Nkem said, tears streaming down her glowing face. She stepped into the pool, her light merging with the water, sealing the darkness beneath. The shadow's final scream echoed as the waters closed over it, trapping it deep within the source. The light faded, and the mountain fell silent. The water shimmered calm once more. When Kim opened her eyes, she was standing at the edge of the pool. Her body no longer glowed, but she felt different, stronger, yet at peace. The shadow's voice was gone. For the first time, there was silence in her soul. She returned to Oba weeks later. The villagers wept when they saw her, bowing as she passed. Mama Ife embraced her, tears in her eyes. "You did it, child. You saved us all." Kim smiled faintly. "I didn't do it alone. Sei was with me every step." The river flowed peacefully, the sky clear. Life returned to Oba, but they all knew their guardian was no longer just a girl. She was something else, something the spirits would think twice before crossing again. That night, Nkem stood by the river, the moonlight soft on her face. She whispered to the water, "Rest, Sei. The darkness is gone." The wind carried a faint voice back to her. "I'm proud of you." She smiled through her tears. For the first time in months, she felt free. Nkem, once the most beautiful girl in her village, had become a legend. The villagers told her story for generations, of the girl who fought gods, became something more, and saved them all. But sometimes, on nights when the moon was blood red, they swore they could see a silver light moving across the river, watching, protecting. Did you feel the power of Nkem's journey from beauty to warrior? Do you think her story truly ended here, or is there more to tell? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you love this finale, and subscribe to hear more epic African folktales like this one.